Here we want to quickly say that it did not take long.
Everyone, all of her children's home, because she's afraid she's going to be locked out. Whoa! Now, it's hard to believe that this is the girl who was so shy she would not
Mingle with others her age, is from what I understand. That's what Marta was telling Bee. Is that right, Bee?
My grandmother told me my mother was so shy, she had to push her to be with people. And she was scared. She'd hide behind her. And she encouraged her to go, to be with people. This is on a beach in Uruguay. And this is when my grandparents began their love affair with Punta del Este, Uruguay. Argentines at that time slowly began vacationing there. And eventually they went on to build a little home where we have all enjoyed many summers in Uruguay. This is my grandmother and my mother.
You see how they're smiling in this photo? 5 years, this is probably when Mom was 14 or so. 5 years later, look what happened.
I want to tell you that my grandmother on the left, my father's mother, was quite a beauty in her day. She was a beautiful blonde, blue-eyed woman. And her father was very ill when she was young. And his life was saved by a Dr. Llanos. Dr. Llanos was my father's father. And when he saved her father's life, her father said to Dr. Llanos, I am in debt to you. I have 4 daughters. Choose one. And he chose my grandmother. My grandmother, it was an arranged marriage. And she was in shock. Here she is, this fair woman marrying a man who was dark, very dark, with slanted Indian, gorgeous eyes, very exotic looking. But she didn't know who he was, and here she had to marry him because her father said so. So, my father was the only son, and he fell in love with a beautiful blonde, my mother. When they married, my mother had already been doing social work in Rosario. They got married in the cathedral of our city. It was standing room only. So many people came. People that mother had helped. Of course, social contacts, family. But everybody came because they loved her so much. And this is a large church. But no, not everybody fit. Anyway, this is her wedding.
Mom was 19, right, Mom?
Yes.
Oh, you did not take.
Somebody's hat is in the way.
I wonder who.
It did not take long for Mom to start producing, as you'll see. No, but they're not all hers. That is me, we believe, right? And this is Timmy. I mean B. Timmy, why don't you stand up next to this photo so we can compare it? And that's also Timmy.
Here's Martha.
Now this is Michelle, right?
Yes.
That's not Ricky though. That's
No, that's Christina.
That's a
right
cousin.
there. Let's get so
There's Ricardo there.
Her parents.
Ricardo and Martha.
That is my mother's father and her mother.
her brother.
Eres pa bebé los brazos de tu papá. De tu abuelo.
Let's see.
Eres el bebé.
There's Timmy. See, compare him to
My-
So, I mean, even though they had already moved to California, they had gone back to Argentina to visit mom's parents and dad's family and their grandparents down here. And, you know, his mom's brother's family was also growing at the time. And they never lost the contact, that bond with Argentina.
But look at the hand on my mother's hip.
Oh yes, this is the mystery hand. Do you think, could that really be Dad's hand? It looks like, I think it's an alien hand.
That's my father. Yeah. Long arm.
Now, here we are back in the States, and not only was it Mom and Dad who would go to Argentina, but our relatives would come visit us here. And it turns out Marta and Ricardo came at least once a year for 30 years. And they, they were religious about coming up to visit Mom and the kids, the grandkids. Now, there's one other thing about this photo. You'll notice something in the background called train wagons. Well, Mom was paranoid about cars when she first moved up here. She refused to drive a car. She would not even go. She would not go on the freeways. So Dad decided to buy her a train instead. All right, now here they began their Hancock Park, Windsor Square life. And this was on Larchmont Boulevard, our first house. I don't know the number, the address, but it was a block from the commercial area.
Tienes la otra chica.
Who's that woman?
Yeah, we don't know who this woman is.
Yes, I know. She's the wife of a doctor from Argentina. She was visiting my
¿Quiénes son los chicos?
Michelle and Ricky.
Ah, bebé.
It's not me.
Ricky, you haven't changed.
Where are you? You're not there?
So we were there for maybe 2 or 3 years. I guess not very long.
That's when Dr. Brian kicked me out of the room. Yes, I have to tell the story. My poor son Mike was so sick, and I called Elmer, who happened. I thought he was my friend, and he came rushing in with a doctor's bag and took one look at Mike, and he said, "You out of the room." I said, "I'm the mother." Out of the room. And that's the only time any man kicked me out of the room. He was sick, he had children.
Well, it didn't take long for us to outgrow Larchmont. So from there we moved to Van Ness in the mid-'60s, we figured. Maybe the late 60s. And we had a lot of memories here. This was our living room. Looks like the Christmas gifts were already piling up. And Mom always had us dressed nicely. You know, we had to button every button on our shirt. So it was
Nice being special. Special.
the girls are nice dressed.
That is you, though. That was you.
There's a lot going on.
That's you in the back, right?
And
Is that your sister?
of course, this is where Mom would welcome guests from all over the world in this living room we have.
Excuse me, I have to say something. Lorraine, remember that man? Queen of Angels gift shop? No, not gift shop.
Thrift shop.
Thrift shop.
So, like I was saying, Mom would torture us with clothes. She would march us to St. Brendan's Church. We'd have to walk 2 blocks dressed like this.
Mom was so happy when she had her 2 boys. She had the 2 girls first, with another girl in between who died at childbirth. And then her dream came true, and she had these darling little blonde-haired, blue-eyed boys. Green. So off she went.
We had a lot of nice Christmas.
Oh, look at this shed.
Is that Chablis?
This is Rex.
He was our alien dog we got for Christmas. See his eyes? He comes from another planet.
From another planet.
Oh, he's so cute.
Now, Mom also had a secret. I'm sure most of you didn't know this, but you'll quickly see by the next photo. She had an African American child. We don't know what happened to
Where'd you come back from?
I had just come back from South America.
That's one of Nat King Cole's friends?
Yeah. And there we were putting foil paper under our faces as we sat in the sun, full of baby oil. And we would sit like this trying to get tanner. You did. We succeeded. But my mother was pretty tan too. Just that she was blonde. Yeah.
I think it was the angle of
Who's that African over there?
Now, Mom was always a good dresser, except when it came to birthdays. For some reason, she kind of left her fashion taste. And it might have something to do with the fact that that was a rum cake she was serving the kids. So this was one of Michelle's birthdays, actually.
You don't look very happy about it.
She was singing.
She's telling you to go on, Mikey.
All right, well, Michelle's not here, unfortunately, but you know about her passion about jewelry and how making art out of unusual items. Well, it all started with this pretzel. It was quickly eaten by our dog, but it was.
I don't know, was that at the Koreans?
Actually, we don't know where it was.
Could be.
Elmer, was that at your house?
Yes.
Really? You'll admit to that?
What is that thing? It's a pretzel. Really and truly? That's where Michelle began with her jewelry.
Cute.
Now, this next photo is pretty shocking because it shows Mom as a mom and as a grandmom.
That's a
No,
Can you
that's
believe
hard.
this is Mom with her daughter, a daughter and a grandchild?
Oh, it's so cute.
That's Kristen and Cece.
When Mike and I were married, Cece was 6 months old. And the rumor went around that Mike was marrying a woman with a child. Because Cece was always with us. My grandparents took ill. My mother had to travel a lot to South America, the wonderful daughter that she was and is. And so Cece stayed with us sometimes, and we were given the gift of our first daughter. So Mom would come back, and there she'd be in her pool with her grandchild and her daughter.
And that's when they started the nudist colony. Michelle was really into that.
Poor Michelle.
I know.
Well, now we're going to move on to the 1980s, and you'll notice by the attire. This is, as Cece put it, everybody was going through stages here. Cece was in a preppy stage. Michelle was her Duran Duran rocker stage. She was married to Gary Bowers at the time and was in the rock. And Kristen and Nicole were into the African American Afro.
No, Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple.
And behind them all were Mom and Marta, the foundation of the Llanos women. Marta was always so great around the house. She was spoiling the kids. Mom would never do that. Marta would. Now it's also, the 80s unfortunately is also when Mom found the sexual revolution 20 years later after it happened. It was very embarrassing for me because that's when she started wearing blue jeans. Tight blue jeans. And there was an incident once where she and I went to a hotel and we were having lunch and I kept thinking that all the men around us were watching her. So I got very upset and I wouldn't talk to her for the rest of the She realized it.
Mike,
Yes.
it was in Ojai.
Ojai, yes.
I had the courtesy of driving you to Berkeley, inviting you one night at Ojai to play golf, and he didn't talk to me for 24 hours. And a year later, I said, you know, Mike, that was the worst trip for me. Why didn't you talk? What have I done to you? You wore jeans.
And the men were looking at
He should have been
you.
proud that his mother looked so darn good in them.
Look at my figure there.
Well, on to another chapter of part of Mom's life, and that's been traveling around the world and sharing it with us, not just Mom and Dad and Jim and Mom and others, but with children especially. That's obviously our memories. Our earliest memories are going to South America. This is Punta del Este, which Mom always saw through rose-colored glasses. And we were there, we think we were digging clams by all the bags and the pole there. So we got Marta and Maru. Is that Maru, Mom? I think
No,
it's Maru.
Renee.
Oh, Renee, okay. Mom's sister-in-law. And, let's see. Maru? Yeah, we'll be going back there in 2 weeks. Now, these are the original Baywatch babes.
Oh my
Because they
God.
were in Punta del Este, so nobody noticed.
And he looks terrific.
But for Mom, it was always important when she went back, she would meet up with her friends, and it wasn't just, it was, you know, part of the trips were being with
That
friends.
you
not just
really?
family.
No. I thought that went one.
That's her sister-in-law, and then Michita, a good friend of hers. And these, that's he right over there.
That one is your mother, isn't it?
That's Mom. Here. All right, now Mom was also the first one to export aerobics to Punta del Este. But nobody paid attention. And obviously, traveling included Europe. Mom loves to go to Europe. And the hills are alive with the sound of Mom's food in her mouth. Can you believe she expected us to have good manners? Look at this. And of course, Dad's very focused on his lunch. I don't think he cares what's going on. All right. Now, you see how well dressed we are there. That's, again, Mom's insistence that we dressed up.
I love the sun in Paris. This is Paris.
That's Amsterdam.
It looks like that.
The Consul General of Netherlands is here. This is in Amsterdam when we were visiting.
Wunderbar.
Now, you see how well dressed we are. We were forced to do that, and that also required every time we traveled, we had to buy a van so that we could carry all the luggage. As you see back there, there's lots of luggage. Worse than a rock entourage.
Then we saw the band of
And this is one of the properties that Mom wanted to buy as a vacation home. Dad was not in the mood.
Where was that?
That was Italy.
Yeah.
And again, traveling from Mama's meant visiting friends,
Yeah.
Marianne and her mother.
Marianne Palmatier at that time was the honorary consul. No,
Her husband.
her husband was the consul general of Luxembourg at that time,
Ça, c'est ta mère.
and her mother, who lived in Luxembourg.
Well, from traveling around the world back to the neighborhood,
Tu sais.
Mom was not just a traveler, but a hood kind of person. This is our backyard in Van Ness. And, it was under the avocado tree. I'm sure it was a summer asado. We were having a barbecue, maybe empanadas and some steak. And the Donleys were there. Dr. Donley, Mrs. Kane.
Oh, yeah, I see
And,
that.
it was just a typical summer evening for us, sharing our Argentine food and probably some wine. Some wine.
Oh, no.
And, they had welcomed us into the neighborhood, even though we really had nothing immediately in common with them. It was great to have had that experience. There were lots of those. Now this is a little bit later in our life. This is when I think this was my wedding.
This is his wedding.
La segunda de abril,
And there's the wonderful Koreans who helped make sure I was raised right.
And Cece's godparents.
My father.
Good holiday.
Yes.
Oh, but let me go back. I forgot this. I have to note how important the Koreans are in terms of creating traditions for us, because due to their Olympics, they often had Olympics at their pool and Easter egg hunts, and always try to make things fun for kids. We try to use some of that creativity with the Wallaces and Sun Valley and bringing our family together using those types of devices. So we've had our Summer Olympics, and we just had a great time because of what we learned from the Koreans on how to do that. We really appreciate that. Yeah, moving on.
Now there you find.
Here we have
You find George White to my mother's right.
George
Oh,
White.
yeah, there he is.
You find Vivi Cheesebro in her long blonde mane. You find Jess Marlowe, who couldn't be here tonight. You find Raylene Meyer in her short bob haircut. Mike looking at the other way as usual. And Bruce Meyer behind the flowers. So this was the Philharmonic Days, the International Committee for the Philharmonic Orchestra.
You forgot your salt. Oh, you're down there low left?
It turns out this is the guy that would come knock on our door every time Dad would have to rush off to the hospital. He would come dressed like some Viennese ambassador, and they start dancing.
George, what party was that at the Beverly Wilshire? George?
The Viennese Ball.
Viennese ball.
Oh, you're right.
Here we
Ah, there you
go.
are, Roberta.
Well, we really like this photo because
There's Vinny.
it shows the mix of friends. Mom would love to bring people together who might not know each other otherwise, but we have neighborhood folks like the McNamaras. We have
Maruca,
Roberta Ramirez, who are neighbors from our first rental home in Los Angeles on the 20th. The Lupos and Vivi. So it's just a multi-ethnic, multinational mix of people that we have at home. And Marta, of course, would be in the middle. She just loved that interaction. You must take a picture.
There you are. the Baywatch Beauties.
Second generation.
There's Diana.
It turns out this is the real multinational mix, right? He was going through this. So let's start with Elena.
Elena from Colombia,
Suzanne.
Belgium.
from Belgium. Rabab from Turkey. My mother's best friend in Argentina, Maru.
And Diana.
And Diana from Chile, no?
Sí. Uruguay, nació en Uruguay. Padres americanos y británicos.
So now, can you imagine why they're smiling? That's the key question here. Well, it turns out they were at Chippendales. That's what he told me.
So there's Jackie.
This began her years with traveling with the Costume Council. Her friendship continues with Vivi and onward with Jaquette. And Linda Pennell, yes. But Jackie became and still is, a very dear friend of Mom's. And encouraged Mom to take up bridge.
And then after working with the art council, the costume council, she
There's
came across Sister Sam. There's a story behind that as well. He knows that.
My mother and I took French class at L'Alliance. And there we met Kathy Kilroy. And she was so much fun, beautiful, happy. And she embraced my mother and I. We began a wonderful friendship. And subsequently, my mother became very good friends with Kathy. And they met Sister Alice Marie. Irene Weingarten, who's there in the picture, was a good friend of Kathy's too. And together, the three of them launched Cuisine à Rouler, Meals on Wheels. Roulette. Meals on Wheels.
Now, what's the story about Sister Sam, though? They met, Mom was walking down the hospital.
My mother was at St. Vincent's Hospital one day, like she always was, supporting my father and his causes and his medicine. And she walked by the kitchen and she found this darling lady. No? Okay, you tell her. You tell it. Stand up and tell it, Mom.
No, I was a volunteer in St. Vincent and everybody was talking about this wonderful nun. So one day I asked to be introduced to this wonderful nun, and I met Sam, and I knew I had to do something for her because it was love at first sight. But I asked to be introduced to her, and then I called Kathy next day, and she was supposed to go out to lunch at the Bistro Garden, and I said, no, you're going to put a pair of jeans and you're coming downtown. And she said, downtown? What for? I said, you're going to meet someone that is fabulous. And she came, she decided not to go to her luncheon and met Sister, and the rest is history.
It certainly is.
Before we move on, we do have to make note of this flower power on her belly. I don't know what that meant.
You can tell my brother went to Berkeley.
Here we go. Mom, Irene, Hancock Park history.
For the first time ever, Windsor Square, Hancock Park, had a contest for Mother of the Year. And it had to be written by a child. But my brother Ricky, who's always looking into everybody's business, read this article, got together with Cece and said, Cece, we have to write an article. Together they wrote the article. My mother was chosen as the first Mother of the Year. And she was treated to a day at the beauty shop. Her makeup was done. Her eyes were so heavy she could barely open them. She was driven up and down the street in Paul Thompson's Rolls Royce. But she did it like she did everything her children put her through. She did it with a smile.
And I hate corsages.
What?
I hate corsages. Another flower power.
Yes.
¿Quién es el viejo que está ahí para?
He's an actor.
He's an actor, and ladies, he's single.
Que aquí se quede.
What did he say?
She said, may he stay that way. Richard Mulligan.
Yeah, Mulligan.
Oh, Richard Walt.
Ex-husband.
Well, now, in the last decade, Mom has added a new travel spot for her many, and that's been Sun Valley. We have a lot of memories in Sun Valley. Like I was saying earlier, we've done our Olympics there, thanks to the kids' inspiration. And here we've got our two kids, Alexis and Nicole, Timmy and Kristen. And we'll be doing that again this August. Hopefully we'll be going up and having some more fun. But this is a great place for Mom to be with her grandkids and enjoying each other. And hopefully she'll participate in the Olympics this year. She wasn't very good at that in the past. Now, this was the early 90s. It was also Mom's Madonna stage. So she thought she had some artistic. She was actually singing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" to a rap version. So this was our talent show, and this is as much talent as she could muster.
¿A dónde fue eso?
This is in Sun Valley.
Nunca la vi, gracias a Dios.
Every summer we have a talent show one evening. And there's Cece in the background, Nicole, my daughter, to the right, Kristen, my daughter, to the left. Amazed at Grandma.
Now, after Dad passed away, Mom was very fortunate to find Jim, and I think Jim was very fortunate to find Mom. And as Ian said earlier, that really expanded the family for both sides. And there they are, the Kilroys and the Yanuses and the Wallaces.
Is that the day of the wedding? Yes.
We have several of the family here this evening. Jim's grandchildren are here. We have Tracy and Kristen. Mikey, can you find them in the picture? And Tracy and Kristen, will you stand up so people, Jennifer, can you stand up too? And Brian's wife, Pammy. We also have Jim's daughters. We have Sue and Dana. Where are you? Stand up. And Sue, right here. Right, stand up, Sue. We also have Jim's son, John Kilroy, and his fiancée, Catherine. If you'd like to stand up. Come on. Okay. Anybody else from the Kilroy family? Okay.
Well, Annie is sick.
And Annie is sick, yes.
Trace is a new one.
And Therese just returned from New Zealand, where they raced and they watched the America's Cup, and now they're back home. I'd like to mention Jim's brother to the right of the picture. Jim, along with his brother, fought in World War in this day and age, when we pay tribute to the men that have made this country what it is today so that we can enjoy this country, I don't think we can thank them enough for what they've done for us. And Walter Kilroy is in many books. They've written about his aviation days in the war. And a very interesting man, and they just went up to celebrate his birthday, my mother and Jim. So that's very moving.
¿Cuántos años tiene ya?
Creo que es mayor que Jim. Sí. There's 70 of them. I know.
Oh my gosh, there's 70 candles.
Jim, come on, Jim.
You help her blow them out. So you'll all blow them
Make
out.
your wish, Mom. Make your wish.
Get in here, Cece.
Dad, come on, B. You get in there too. They need lots of help.
Yeah, big, get your picture. That's a cool cake.
Very smooth.
Temporary obstacle. There we go. So once
All right, Mikey, go on.
once the union was consummated, it did not take long for them to start traveling. And here they are. Is this Turkey? We're just guessing. It's a turkey.
This is Turkey. And
That's Turkey.
Yeah. So
here they are. And in this picture is Mr. Julio Martinez, who is responsible for all the table decorations and the touches this evening. And thus, Mom's love of travel continues with Jim on his beloved boat.
more importantly than the travel, I think, goes the laughs. The laughs and the phones. The phones are very important too.
Yeah.
What is she?
That was a banana cream pie.
They're probably talking to you, Mikey.
No, it's not a facial. It's whipped cream.
Whipped cream.
The children have whipped cream fights at the
Okay.
All right, so here we go back to this thing. Who would have thought that all those memories would come out of this little lunch tin?
Cute. Oh, that was great.
very bad case. But anyway, thank you for coming tonight. My bridge group, my international bridge group. You know, there's only one American in that group. We have my friends from Holland, my friends from Turkey, Switzerland, and Ireland, Turkey. And we have Japanese. We have a group of wonderful, wonderful friends. So thank you for coming. My Meals on Wheels. What can I say? St. Vincent has been my life, and the good days and the bad days. And Father Naus and Sister and Vince and Irene and of course the Turtles and Jeans. Thank you for coming. My Hancock Park was trouble here. Thank God we don't talk about everything that
goes on.
I remember
Thank you.
meeting Bruce and Raylene when me and Mike rented a place from you.
They were good too, so it's
And of course my wonderful group here, La Gran Vivi, Maruca Roberto, Marianne, the Lupos, the Music Center days, and my beloved George. I miss you going into the You're part of my life too. And of course Suzanne, Dana, and my wonderful, wonderful family. And of course, I want you to know that
Ring the bell. Ring the
when I arrived
Wait a minute. Ring the bell for me. You can talk now. He was up here, a wonderful woman, a very mature lady. And I remember she said 1955. 1955 was when Mary and myself moved from Christ the King. We were from Boston with Christ the King. We were going to St. Brendan's Church. Dee and my son, Patty Ellen, became very, very good friends. And Dee, this is the mature lady. I just want to say a thing about Dee. Everything about her seems to be. She used to live at our house. I don't think she liked yelling, but she used to live at our house. And we were going on a trip to Knott's Berry Farm. And Knott's Berry Farm, those days, we had the train, and they had the bomb parades coming up, the guns shooting.
Yes.
And I would say to me, go, but if they come aboard that plane, come aboard that plane, get down low. And by God, she did sit down.
Such a good girl.
But the best thing I know about Nellie, she came in the first time I met Nellie. I didn't ask for her. My wife met her. And she wanted me to examine one of the children. And I was examining one of the children and she said, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I said, I'm examining the children. I never saw an examined like this, never. Now I'm a doctor, that's for sexual abuse. And now they came back with all the children. But the two best children, Cece and Caboose. She's my grandchild. And Christian, you were doing enough to go back to Boston to get a good education.
Irish talking. I want you to know that although he
Yeah,
was
he's a very nice man. He's a
every time
doctor,
I
retired
was
doctor.
having a baby, he was out of town.
Jo, marcher, comme je fais des achats. Ils sont toujours là. Moi, je les vois presque une fois par semaine au marché.
Okay, Mom, you have to now be quiet for a little bit because we have some friends who would like to add to this. And Vivi, would you like to go next?
Oh, I have to put on my spec. This antiquated. I wrote a poem.
Loud, Vivi.
Alas, my humble talents permit no venture in that mood. Yet surely I can tell you, and you'll know it's gospel truth, she has always been supportive since the flower of her youth. She didn't wait for gray hair to help when there was need, and she did it with such empathy that many paid her heed. We all know she's blessed with patience by the good Lord up above, and a heart that's overflowing with the warmest human love. Yet as this awesome birthday comes ever closer, now all I ask is when, oh when, Will she never get real bitchy like this undersigned old hen?
Jackie Tice, you're next.
And
we were the only ones that showed up.
And you were so, I was impressed because you came with your own lunch. And that's because you were so allergic. It's the first time I met an allergic person. And I'm married.
Then the costume council proceeded, and Ellie, I think, dreamed of some of these trips that we went on with Edward Rader to Europe. And Ellie and I roomed with each other in France, and Italy, and England, and Scotland, and then in Argentina. And Edward was
¿Me quieres regalar un tenedor, por favor? Porque si no voy a
Edward coming down using our bathtub one night because he didn't only had a shower. Then we moved on to, we went to, I meant to say when we were in Argentina, we went to your summer house in Uruguay to Punta del Este, which was just wonderful, and you could be there in another couple of weeks, I guess. Then Sema Emre, the wife of the consul general from Turkey, came to town, and Ellie invited, she got her very young for international moments, I guess, and invited me to come to the costume council because I need somebody to help me talk to her. So I went, and we had a nice time with Sema, and the next thing that happened was that she decided to have a bridge group. And it was just wonderful. Nellie and I had taken bridge lessons a year before, and I was pretty shaky. I don't know about Nellie, but we were pretty shaky. And we went to Sema's house, and there were, Bella, are you here? I think Bella left. But anyway, there was the wife of the consul general from Finland, the consul general from Iceland, the wife of the consul general from Turkey, a Belgian and Argentinian, Kenyan, 7 Turks and me. And Bella turns around and says, "You're the only American here." Anyway, that was the beginning of a long, wonderful friendship. And as Nellie says, this is our weekly therapy. We have our weekly therapy with the Turks. Except they're not so Turkish anymore, they're the Bridgettes. Anyway, the Bridgettes, stand up and give Nellie a cheer.
And now we would like George White to say a few words. Come on, George.
Completely what I was after this beautiful speech, and Mike, no wonder Microsoft is so successful. Really. All I want to say, Nellie, you know, the Shellhouses and the Yanuses were part of the Beverly Wilshire family. And I never forget the wonderful parties we had together. And Ricardo and Martha singing with me German songs. Do you remember that song? Do, the Experience Herz and the experiencing
Pero no de mi filha,
and then it goes, yeah, everybody, yeah. A singing song for your girlfriend.
Thank you.
Because I'm the mouthy one. I'm the oldest daughter of the oldest daughter, but I'm not the oldest grandchild. That goes to Brian and Shannon. Shannon, who's not here. But what I'd like to say to Nellie is thank you. Thank you from my family. Thank you from us, the grandchildren. Thank you for being a blessing from God. Thank you for helping a very hyperactive, sometimes splintered family start on the road to reconciliation. May the Lord bless you, make His face shine upon you, and make all the days of your life be full of joy and love. And so on that, I will sing a song that I learned in 1992 when I was in Holland. And it is the Dutch birthday song. And it is Lang zal ze leven, lang zal ze leven, lang zal ze leven in the gloria, in the gloria, in the gloria. It is long may she live in the glory, and that is in God's glory. Hip hip hooray!
Children as opposed to the grandchildren or great-grandchildren. I'm John Kilroy, and Nellie, I remember the first recollection I have of meeting you. It was in 1975, it was in Cowes, England, and my father and I and a whole bunch of characters had just finished the transatlantic race. And we did pretty well in this, and it was a great race. It started out with we were becalmed for the first half day or day, and then we entered into a hurricane, then we had a lightning storm, a couple of boats into disaster, kind of a normal Kilroy, family thing. Anyway, we ended up in England, and we were at this place with a quiet little tavern. People were enjoying themselves, having a dinner and so forth. And here was the Kioloa crew, 17 Australian, New Zealanders, English, South Africans, Americans, and all of them pretty rowdy, with the possible exception of my father, who was always a man of great deportment. Anyway, here was Kathy Kilroy and Nellie Llanos, and they were going to go off, and they were going to spend the month, I think, of August or not August, of course, you know when he goes to Paris in August, I think it was the month of July. In any event, they were going to practice their French. And we were all drinking a lot, and then we had a lot of liqueur, and then we probably had a lot of champagne, then some more liqueur, and some cigars, and everything else. And everyone in this restaurant, other than our table, was now a little upset. And I looked over, and I knew I was kind of in trouble because I was buying all this stuff with my father's credit card. And I looked at Nellie, who I just met, and she was smiling. She thought this was the greatest thing in the world. Kathy said, we're going to leave tomorrow for Paris. And Nellie said, well, we'll probably have to stay an extra day or two. This is kind of fun. And I thought, this is a really, really fun gal. And then, years went by and saw you with, and social things and fun things and so forth. But Nellie, I have to tell you that you're the greatest. You're absolutely the greatest.
Well, that we already
love you. You all know this in this crowd. All of us here love you. On behalf of the Kilroy kids, the greater Kilroy family, we love you. You're just terrific. You're beautiful. You're gracious. You're kind. You're forgiving. You're always terrific. And you always reach out to everybody. We love you. And I'm not even the youngest.
But I would like to say at this point that I've had a fantastic life. Really, I have, when I've seen what the kids have put together. Fantastic. My Argentine upbringing was terrific. I keep my Argentine friends here, like Jorge Newberry, with me all the time. That's my link. I want to thank my wonderful husband, Jim. This is a little hard on you, I think, because it's too much Llanos. But I'll tell you, it's because of what went on in my life, and this is why we're together now. It's the only reasoning in my mind, how come from there to here. It's an interesting bridge. I have 5 wonderful children, as you know. Michelle is in Argentina. We have missed her a lot tonight, but you kids have done incredible. And my Kilroy family is beautiful, beautiful. So thank you. for letting me come into your life. And from now on, it's not us, it's all of us together. Okay? And to my wonderful friends, you know that you belong to me. You really do. If you don't like it, too bad. So thank you so much for the memories. It's like Bob Hope said. Thank you so much for the memories. I didn't mention my grandchildren because those are the icing on the cake. You know, when you have 5 wonderful children, that's a blessing. Then you inherit the in-laws, and I've been so lucky. And now with 5 grandchildren that are just, it's too much. Even Timmy, who's falling asleep. So thank you again. And no more speeches, and have fun, and the cake is delicious.
Just wanted a few comments from me. Let us magnify that between the two of us, we have 10 children. We have 17 grandchildren. And we have 4 great-grandchildren.
You.
Oh, you. It's a team. It's a team. And a rather interesting thing, having known Nellie for almost 30 years.
30?
Almost 30 years, yes. That our children have also known the other children for so many years. And it really is a wonderfully, wonderfully fortunate situation. I'm blessed. I'm blessed by Nellie.
I'm blessed.
I'm blessed by knowing Nellie's children for so many years, and I'm also blessed by my children and the way that they love each other. And this beautiful woman and all of her dear friends has made for a most wonderful and happy situation. My darling, I love you.
I would have gone to the hairdresser. This is the outfit I wore for bridge the other day, so I would not have worn this.
Now, Nellie asked, let me go on a second for here. Nellie asked me to read this invitation that we had tonight to this very intriguing affair we were coming to. It says the Saddle and Sirloin Club invites our members and their families to join us in honoring 4 of our distinguished members. Peter C. Cullen. Well, Peter C. Cullen, stand up, please. Stand up, Peter. Come on, Peter, where are you? Okay. And
Dr. Newland Hastings.
Newland Hastings.
He lives in Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
Well, Newland Hastings, stand up, please.
Santa Barbara.
Okay. How about Breen Murphy? Is Breen Murphy here tonight?
Yeah, I saw him. He's in the stables.
Out there with the horse.
And this other guy we don't know, Michael Wallace. Well, I really think we should honor them for the occasion tonight. It's on March 11th at the Saddle and Sirloin Club.
7:30 it
At
says.
7:30. We came at 7. Now, as we look at this invitation, I really realized that the club had to be very economic in their activities that they did. And so they hired Ricky Thomas to do the invitation.
I'm cheap. Yeah.
And I must state clearly, I didn't know that we weren't coming to this party, even though my wife has accused me all night long.
We know better than to tell him.
What was that?
I want to say to you, none of you would have had the privilege of knowing Shelley. I had not done it on a dinner responsible citizen.